Christopher Bell completed a wild and rainy sweep of the NASCAR weekend at New Hampshire Motor Speedway with an overtime victory in Sunday's Cup race on rain tires. But there were also some drivers leaving the track disappointing, such as McDowell and notably Blaney. Michael McDowell and Ryan Blaney engaged in a respectful post-race chat on pit road Sunday at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, with McDowell apologizing for late race collision that lost both drivers excellent results in the USA Today 301. McDowell drove his number 34 front row motorsports Ford hard into turn 1 on a restart with 9 laps remaining in regulation, all cars on wet weather tires in humid conditions. McDowell's Mustang skidded up into Blaney's Num 12 Team Penske Ford in their battle for second place, with both drivers making a lengthy, smoky slide around the corner behind leader Christopher Bell. Both drivers continued to record lead lap finishes, but neither returned to the top 10. Blaney, who won the last race in the NASCAR Cup Series last weekend at Iowa Speedway, said the apology didn't bring much comfort after finishing 25th out of 36 cars. "An apology's nice, but it's not going to bring back what he did," said Blaney, the defending Cup Series champion. "I mean, I knew what he was trying to do. It was like a low-percentage move. I mean, it's wet down there, and you're just going to shove it off in there, and what do you think's going to happen? You're going to take both of us out. So I know he's got to win and all that, and that's his excuse, but you've got to be a little bit more calculated than that, and it just stinks that we're at the expense of it. Man, I really thought we had a decent shot to contend." McDowell finished 15th, revealing after the race that the action was motivated in part by a last-ditch attempt to qualify for the Cup Series playoffs. He is presently winless and stands 22nd in the playoff standings, 99 points behind the provisional elimination line with 8 regular season races left until the 16-driver playoff lineup is finalized. "I was just explaining that I was in a do-or-die situation. I just had to go for it," McDowell told Fox Sports' Bob Pockris. "I know it was a low-percentage move, but I had to try. All the guys that went to the bottom lane in turns 1 and 2 on those restarts just got freight trained, so I knew I needed to enter in the middle, and I just got the left sides right on the wet paint, and it just kind of took off. So I hate it for Blaney, and I know it ruined his day, ruined my day too, and I apologize to those guys for that, but I'm at a point in the season where I have to go for it too. So you don't know until you get there, and I was just in there a little too deep." What are your thoughts on the crash? Was McDowell taking it too far? Let's dive further into the race. Bell, who won Saturday's Xfinity Series race, established a massive lead on the field on an overtime restart and cruised to a 1.104-second victory over unexpected Chase Briscoe. The last 77 laps of the race were raced on wet weather tires, the longest duration since NASCAR began using them on select oval tracks. Bell took the lead for the final time on lap 242 and maintained it through 5 excruciating restarts. The win marks Bell's 3rd of the 2024 season, tied for the most of any driver and 9th of his Cup career. Bell was already familiar with wet weather tires at New Hampshire, having used them in the start of Saturday's Xfinity race, his 4th at the track in that series. "You never know how this thing is going to shake out whenever you change so many things like that, and the adverse conditions. I personally love adverse conditions because you're always trying to think outside the box," Bell said. "You know, whenever we went back out, I was feeling around and it felt like the normal Loudon groove was really, really slippery. So I tried to just run down or run up, and Adam, Stevens, crew chief, put the tune on this thing, and it was turning really good. And hey guys, this one didn't get shortened." Reddick looked to have the race won after remaining out after the completion of Stage 2 and betting that inclement weather would hit the circuit before the finish. It happened, but NASCAR had to wait through a 2-hour, 15-minute rain delay to dry the track enough to use wet weather tires. The Cup Series race was prolonged and enlivened with wet tires on the cars for the last 80 laps, allowing the circuit to dry out and racing to restart before sunset. This is the second time the Cup Series has utilized the tires this season, having started the race on them in Richmond in March. However, the tires have been a long time coming. NASCAR began testing wet tires for ovals in 2021, before the next generation vehicle was debuted. They were originally utilized by the Truck Series at Martinsville last season, and the Cup Series successfully tested them at the All-Star Race Heat qualifying sessions in North Wilkesboro later that year. 3 years later, the tires have become a reasonably common component in sanctioned races. For Elton Sawyer, NASCAR's Vice President of Competition, the true victory is the ability to finish every lap of racing for fans on the track and at home, and all of the preparation paid off in a wet New Hampshire weekend. The way we started this whole wet weather tire process was basically, we wanted to get our races started on time. And it really played into our hand yesterday to get the Xfinity race started on time, and to get our races back to green as quick as possible if we've had a delay, which we had today, Sawyer told assembled media after the race. This was CEO Jim France's vision of what wet weather tires could do. We ran 301 plus laps today, so winning the overtime, our fans had bought a ticket. They got to see some great, exciting racing. Sawyer stated that the race would not have been restarted without the tires. Because of an agreement with the local government, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway did not have lights. Therefore, sunset was a firm deadline for racing to end. We'd have been done with 82 laps go, he asserted. It gave us an opportunity to get back green. We were up against it with daylight as well. But kudos to our teams, our drivers, our owners, and especially Mr. France with his vision. The tires were not without controversy, with fans complaining that NASCAR blew the red flag with barely any rain on the course and did not use wet weather tires despite the low precipitation. With thunderstorms in the region and a tornado watch in effect, Sawyer's first concern was safety. We work closely with the National Weather Service folks as well as the folks here at Speedway Motorsport, Sawyer said of the process to get the forecast. In 2021, rain fell on the circuit, sending Kyle Busch and others spinning, with Busch incurring heavy damage. NASCAR has subsequently changed its weather procedures to continue racing after receiving the all-clear. All of those weather conditions were way south of the speedway, so we felt like we were in a good place to, once the rain passed, it looked like we had clear skies behind us, which we did, and now we were able to get the race resumed. Fans and drivers also grumbled about NASCAR's regulations, which specify when teams can replace wet tires and when they can and cannot use dry tires. There's still some things that we're learning through this process, and in all honesty, we'd like to be out of the tire business, Sawyer acknowledged. We'd like to just turn that over to the teams. But as we continue to take small steps and we learn eventually we'll get there, we just want to do this in the safest way possible. The sanctioning authority will not halt development at this stage, and such progress may result in modifications. Once we get back to the RD Center, we start downloading exactly how this race unfolded, Sawyer told. If you think about it, we've only got maybe 4 data points. We ran the trucks at Martinsville, the All-Star race with the Cup cars, Richmond with the Cup cars, and now here, which is one of the faster short ovals that we run on. So we'll get back and we'll look at all the things that transpired today. And if we should have put on, got on drives, which the more we looked at it, I think we stayed on wet, was the right decision to end the race. Overall, Sawyer declared the event a success. I mean, if you go back and look at the reason we came up with this and we started working through it with our teams and the folks at the RD Center, it was to do exactly what we did yesterday with the Xfinity race and what we did today with the Cup race, he justified. So yes, very successful. Kudos to Goodyear, again. What are your thoughts on the race? Did you enjoy the wet racing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more NASCAR news.